The time is now 7 o'clock.
It is now September and students are fully back in school. This also means that the roads will be extra crowded this morning and the streets will be dotted with children going to school. This means that zone safety, the school zone safety especially, is going to be really important, especially as the country sees over 500 school zone accidents each year. And remember that it's 30 kilometers per hour on the roads in front of it or near schools, and that every child is likely walking in that school zone. And watch for those signs as you head out the door this morning. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, September 2nd on befm, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. Welcome to our very first program of September. And congratulations are in order for you parents who survived the summer. This means that officially your kids are off. Back for the fall semester for all grade levels, whether, they're in, elementary school, middle, high school, or even university. And for commuters, what does this mean? This means extra traffic, extra congestion on the roads. This also means that your neighborhood streets will be bustling with kids going back to classes if they haven't done so already. And the increase in foot traffic, especially among children, means that drivers are going to have to be extra cautious on the roads. It has been 4 years since the Minjik Act was enacted to reinforce safety in school zones. And while that has, seen better safety infrastructure, such as speed cameras and stronger punishments, accidents, they continue to happen. Last year, there were 480 school zone accidents and 2 deaths that resulted from such accidents. We have seen an average of around 500 school zone accidents every year. And the majority of these cases happen because drivers fail to comply with pedestrian safety measures. What does this all mean, though? Well, you have to stop in front of a crosswalk within a school zone, even though there is no one around you that you can see. This may seem kind of inconvenient, and you might think, oh, is this necessary? Isn't this redundant? But every safety measure is necessary, especially around children. And mind you, sometimes children, they're so small, sometimes you can't see them. Sometimes they do pop out of nowhere. So it's going to be on us, the drivers, to be really extra careful as we kick off the fall season together. All right, for our text topic, are you ready? Here we go. Let's show off today something, anything about ourselves. So what are you good at? What do you like about yourself? 자, 본격 자랑 타임입니다. 내가 잘하는 것, 나의 장점, 자랑하기. So don't be quiet. I know you have much to share with us. So share with us all the good qualities, all your good qualities. What are you good at? You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. So we have our own YouTube channel. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 on that platform. Subscribe, log in and chat away with our other waivers on your phone, pound 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free on our Kakao Talk channel as well. Same thing, search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. The different ways that you can tune into us, 90.5 or 103.3 FM on the radio. That's depending on where you are in the vicinity here in Busan. Like I just said, on the YouTube platform in real time, or you can listen and watch again at your leisure. We're also available on the Patbang app as well. It's Monday, first Monday of September. Who do we have coming in? We have Michael with Showbiz Buzz, Business Perspectives with Bobby. For our special interview today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest issues in Korea right now. Telegram, and the deep-fake issue. And you probably have heard, the rumors swirling around you, the questions. Is this something that is happening at my kid's school? Is this happening around me? So we're going to find out about the legal angle of this case and these cases later on in hour number 2. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:05, and these are today's headlines. PPP and DP leaders hold first official talks. The leaders of the ruling People Power Party, PPP, and the main opposition Democratic Party, DP, agreed yesterday to form a joint consultative body to discuss matters concerning people's livelihoods where both parties share common ground. Yoon won't attend National Assembly opening ceremony. President Yoon Suk-yeol will not attend the opening ceremony of the regular session of the National Assembly today, citing the opposition party's unilateral handling of controversial bills. South Korea to bolster cybersecurity measures against hacking and disinformation. South Korea will conduct offensive cyber defense operations to protect critical national infrastructure from hacking attacks and counter disinformation, the presidential office said yesterday. South Korea logs longest streak of tropical nights. South Korea recorded its longest streak of tropical nights this year as a prolonged heat wave continued to grip the country throughout August. Israel recovers bodies of 6 Gaza hostages. Israel says its forces have recovered the bodies of 6 hostages brutally murdered by Hamas in an underground tunnel in the southern region of Rafah. And these are today's headlines. Waivers, it's time to check in with Haley for Busan Updates. Let's say hi to her first. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy September.
I know. It feels so weird, but I love the fact that it's September and I kind of feel the breeze.
It is definitely cooler.
Yes. Yeah. And it's time to 자랑해.
Guys.
Show off. Come on.
I can't stop thinking about things I'm good at. I kid, because we're saying like random stuff. Just
like what?
Random, so trivial.
It doesn't have to be like fantastic and like gigantic, right?
No. So I just kept lining things up. It's like, well, I don't get stressed that much, that much. I have a low, or high tolerance to stressful situations.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, I'm like, I look good in black.
Yes, you do.
I was told this was like
she just gave you side eye.
She's like, man, oh man. And then I also am very thick-skinned and I'm shameless. I'm like super bump on it because I was like listing things off in my head.
Things that you're
like,
good at.
These are so like such random stuff. I'm like, I have great self-confidence and I don't care who looks at me funny.
You're okay.
All of you, y'all. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
So those are the things we're talking about, not like the mega talented.
No, don't give us give us your test scores.
Like I'm good at, I'm not. I'm just saying, some people might be good at like 미적분. I'm not, by the way.
And if you are, let us know. I used to be really good at 미적분. And then, I graduated high school and I no longer needed to use it.
Oh, I love this one. I'm going to just read one. Drift Monkey. I'm a professional procrastinator.
Ooh,
I
that's
love
a
answers
skill.
like that. That's a good skill.
Because I'm the opposite. I'm 조급증. I need to get it done.
Early.
So sometimes I will do something multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, we have such stuff in common.
Stuff like this. I use who and whom very well. Stuff like that. Random stuff.
Okay. We get it. Thank you for the examples.
Can we just do this? No?
I know, for 2 hours. We could chatting it for 2 hours. All right. Let's get started with our local news coverage of Busan City Council, which has had a particularly productive run.
Right. So giving credit when and where credit is due. So the current iteration of Busan City Council, they've been conducting their legislative activities for the second half of the year.
Yes.
And the plenary session has been, it's been going well. And by the way, that session ends at the end of this week. So during this time, the council, so for this week, will officially launch special committees on the people's livelihoods, a special committee on the global hub city, and a regional era of the regions. So the operational committee has already defined the roles of these special committees last week. So for example, the special committee on the era of regions will be at the forefront of responding to the relocation of public institutions, an issue that we've been addressing multiple times, including the Korea Development Bank. And then as for the global city or the global hub city special committee, they'll work on establishing the legal foundation and institutional foundations on the key infrastructure, including the Gadok Airport.
Yes.
So the city's council chair launched this iteration of the legislature with the goal of making a working council, a productive council that's good at its job. And I mean, we're only a month into that phase, but it's been going fairly well. It's been living up to its promise. So for example, a key achievement was including getting Busan City to withdraw the plans for the apartment development over the Igide site, as well as the toll issue, the free toll for Paegang Tunnel, and the Kudok Stadium development issue.
Okay.
So essentially, it's been doing its job, at least pertaining to the checks and balances with City Hall, as well as working on matters of industrial safety and environment through their legislative activities. So hopefully they can keep it up for the next few years.
Well, it's always good to report on a legislative body that's busy, right?
Right,
And
absolutely.
doing something, yes. Well, next up, the beaches across our city are now officially closed. So we're going to look at how they fared, how they did over the summer.
Right. So at least one upside to this record heat wave summer, it's
Yes.
that our beaches have been busy. More people have been coming there to cool off. So
Yes.
throughout July and August, the 7 beaches in Busan saw an overall 9% increase in visitors. So collectively, that means 17 million people visited Busan beaches. Of course, that includes duplicates and multiple people coming multiple times. But compare that to another summer hotspot, which is Gangwon, especially for the capital area. They only saw 7.7 million people. So Busan kept its reputation as the vacation hotspot for the entire country. And it was, by the way, perfect beach weather because precipitation stayed pretty much similar to other summers, previous year's average at 419 millimeters. And that was way, way lower than 690 millimeters from last year. And of course, you don't need me to tell you, it was hot. Still kind of
So
is.
hot.
But it was the second hottest summer in terms of heat wave days at 14. So that definitely drew more people.
Indeed. Well, what about the individual beaches? How did they do?
Because there's a little bit of a rivalry between Haeundae versus Gwangalli,
Right.
but Haeundae definitely kept its top spot with 7.6 million visitors. Gwangalli at 4.1 million. So it was still a bit of a gap there.
Okay.
I mean, of course, it's not a competition, but for fact's sake, and it was
Kind of.
followed by
Yes.
Songdo, Songjang, and Daepo in 3rd, 4th, and 5th place respectively.
okay.
In fact, visitors to Haeundae actually increased by over 11 points, but Gwangalli only saw a 1.7% gain. But then we're also looking at the rate of increase overall. Gijang really picked up speed. So Gijang is definitely turning into a hotspot, not only for the cafes, but also for the beaches because Ilgwang and Imlang both saw over 20% increases in the number of visitors.
Really?
So yeah, definitely a significant change there.
Yes.
And the city is attributing this to the establishment of the Osiria Tourism Complex, nearby amusement park, and of course, large hotels and resorts that are attracting more people.
Yes.
But then another rate of increase for something that was definitely unwelcome, jellyfish.
Oh, yes.
Because we have seen an 18-fold increase in jellyfish caught and triple the number of emergency responses to jellyfish stings by the official 119 authorities. And because local municipalities are also in charge, that number may be higher.
Right. I have never seen so many photos of jellyfish on social
Yeah.
media. People just really we're all perplexed by this, right?
Right.
Yes. Well, we know that, the summer months are basically behind us at this point, but the key is to keep bringing people to Busan beyond these vacation months. So what's in the works for now?
Right. So now that vacation season is over, come to Busan to work.
Yes.
So workations. The Busan City is running its 2024 Global Workation Program throughout this month. And this is in conjunction with B Startup, a global workation firm, Hoppers, amongst others. So the city for this month has invited 80 people, both Korean and foreign nationals, who have the ability and the privilege to work remotely. So they're having them live in Busan and partake in various cultural and tourism activities to showcase its workation vision. So these visitors will stay in one of the city's 5 workation spots, and they're located throughout Donggu, Seogu, Yeongdo-gu, Chung, and Kumjeong-gu. And they've been picked because of their various issues with population. So the participants will not only work here and enjoy their time here, but also get an opportunity to network amongst themselves and share their insights on the trends and flows of global working culture and digitalization.
All right. So hopefully we will become known as the city of workations too. And then let's also look forward to what's happening in October.
Right, because next month will be Busan's Festival and Culture Month. So get your calendars out and start planning now because there's a lot happening. One of those events is the Busan International Performing Arts Market, or befm, which will take place from October 4th to the 8th across Busan Culture Center, Kyung Hee University, the Namgu Culture District, and Gwangalli Beach. And this is year 2 for befm, and that's a global festival that seeks to vitalize the local performing arts industry and provide opportunities for the public to enjoy such culture. So there will be multiple showcases and choice performances, events featuring the next generation of performing artists, and street performances right by Gwangalli Beach. And it's actually doubling the number of performances from last year and really strengthening its role as a distribution center for these creative arts.
Yes.
And by the way, the reason I'm talking about this now is because tickets are on sale currently via Yes24.
All right. Well, we have much to look forward to, so thank you for that, Haley. All right, back to you, the waivers. We are talking about showing off today, showing off your skills, showing off what you're good at. What do you like about yourself? 자, 본격 자랑 타임입니다. It doesn't have to be huge or big or grand. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I am good at tennis. It can be, but it can be something really small as well. And yes, we invite your sarcasm as well. So with that in mind, here is your traffic and weather for right now. It's time for your traffic report. It looks slow right now on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyong ramp to the old Kaegum tollgate. Also backed up on Luno Samsung-daedo from Myeongji underpass to Shinho Bridge. There's also congestion building on Bunyeong-ro from Daeyeon Tunnel to Suyeong under overpass. As for the weather, it's currently 24 degrees Celsius under clear skies. The daytime high will go up to 32 degrees today. Chances of sporadic rain in the evening. So looking at the weather across the nation, overall, a cloudy day with chances of rain across the country with gusts of wind and even thunder and lightning in the central and western regions. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for a news digest. So we're going to dive into our first news story with Haley. So first, Haley, the leaders of the two major parties met yesterday for their first ever official sit-down, correct?
That's right. So People Power Party's leader Han Dong-un and Democratic Party's chair Lee Jae-myung had their first ever official meeting yesterday at the National Assembly, and it went on for some 135 minutes, way beyond the scheduled 90. So there, the two leaders agreed to work together on the parliamentary level to reach solutions to the current medical crisis prompted by the trainee doctors' walkout, and also to push the government to make sure that the medical system is ready for the potential spike in demand for the Chuseok holidays. And they also backed up the government in agreeing that the medical school quota for next year is finalized. So it's no longer up for negotiations.
Okay.
However, they did not reach an agreement on some financial issues, and that includes abolishing the financial investment income tax, nor the 250,000 won universal handout that's been proposed by Lee Jae-myung. However, the parties will speed up the legislative process to expand maternity leave for working parents and also to quickly implement measures to address and penalize as well as prevent sexual crimes involving deepfakes. And then for continued talks, because of course these issues don't get resolved in one meeting, the two sides agreed to form a consultative body. And as for the presidential office, Yongsan said that it welcomes this meeting between the two party leaders and expressed expectations that it'll serve as a catalyst to normalize the parliamentary disputes, of course, the parliament under Democratic Party and opposition's controls over key bills.
Well, while that took place, the country's emergency rooms are in a dire situation as their resources are really stretched thin. And so President Yoon Suk-yeol's recent comments fueled further discontent.
Right. So we go back last week for this. During his press conference and governance briefing, President Yoon Suk-yeol said that the emergency medical system is operating smoothly.
Okay.
And then the medical community was outraged at this comment, especially those who work in said emergency rooms. So the Korea Emergency Medical Association, KIMA, they held a press conference on Friday, and President Lee Hyung-min of KIMA said that the government must think that as long as the ER doors are open, then it's not a crisis. However, President Lee said that the ERs have not been able to function even with their doors open, and that is the true crisis. So Lee actually compared that situation to the overseas standards, where most international standards and medical institutes put the number of necessary ER doctors working at one time at 6.
Okay.
However, in over half of South Korea's emergency rooms, there's only one doctor currently manning the entire emergency room.
Wow.
So the doctors, they may be at their wits' end. And there was, to kind of corroborate this, there was an emergency room medicine symposium held this weekend. And there were multiple sessions on working overseas. And 400 emergency room specialists attended those sessions.
And in the meantime, the shortage of ERs and resources may become a huge problem because we have Chuseok coming up.
Right. So during Chuseok, a lot of the local clinics and hospitals do close down because it is a holiday. So there is high demand for emergency rooms, even for some minor issues. So for instance, Kyung Hee University Hospital in Sejong is actually going to suspend its nighttime ER operations this month, and that includes the Chuseok time.
Okay.
And also at Aju University Hospital, 3 out of 14 ER doctors have resigned. So they have stopped working, and 4 of the remaining doctors also handed in their letters of resignation. So what's more, regional emergency rooms, which are Kwonyeok Eungeup Center,
Yes.
they're also facing crises, and this is kind of seen as a last resort measure for patients who are in critical condition. So they're at the top of the hierarchy for emergency treatments. So 7 out of 10 regional ERs have only one doctor on duty presiding over 20 to 30 beds.
Yes. So that's the status of what's happening with our healthcare system. Next, we're going to talk about our top story, which is children's safety in school zones. So we're going to expand on that topic and discuss other safety issues regarding children.
Right. So this is a dark issue, but of course a necessary one. The annual Health Ministry's child abuse numbers are out. And last year, there were 26,000 child abuse cases confirmed by the authorities and 44 children dead from child abuse. So parents accounted for the biggest culprits of abuse at 86%. And this figure has been on the rise in the last 5 years. And then there were other cases of parents' partners or even teachers. However, the number of abuse cases confirmed as being from teachers, they decreased by about half in the matter of a year. And this, of course, has to do with the changes in the law where they do allow for justified discipline, and that's no longer considered child abuse. Another change is that the social worker in charge of child abuse cases can immediately separate the child from their home if there are cases of repeated abuse suspicions or strong suspicions of child abuse. So that's definitely a positive change. And then over 15% of the cases have been repeated abuses.
I see. And even though this isn't physical abuse, a large number of deep fake pornography victims, they're minors, right?
Absolutely. And this is actually in the absolute majority. So in the last 3 years, 60% of the victims in deepfake sexual crimes cases that have been investigated by the police, they have been minors, so under 18.
Okay.
And that's based on National Police Agency data. And that is a huge proportion compared to the other older age groups. And the rate of minors being perpetrators, that also spiked to 73% in the first 7 months of this year. But even as the cases have been rising in the past 3 years, response has been very slow. And, we have been talking about this we've been focusing on this case in the past couple weeks, couple days even, but that's been happening for the past few years. So, of course, the nature of these chat rooms, they make it hard for the police and the authorities to investigate, but the victims are minors. So there needs to be faster and more stern responses.
Yes, indeed. And of course, we're going to talk more about this in hour number 2 with our experts, so stay tuned for that. Moving on to some international news, X, formerly known as Twitter, has been banned in Brazil.
Right. So Brazil's Supreme Court has ordered for the suspension of X or Twitter. And this is due to the platform failing to meet a deadline to appoint a legal representative in Brazil.
Yes.
So Justice Alexander de Morales of the Brazilian Supreme Court ordered for the immediate, complete, and total suspension of X's operation until the corporation complies with all court orders, pays the fines, and appoints a new legal representative.
So, question is, why is the court calling for a new legal representative?
Right. So let's actually rewind a couple months because the court, specifically Judge Justice Morales, has been engaged in a rather public dispute with X and Elon Musk for the past several months.
Right.
So it initially began with the judge ordering the suspension of dozens of X accounts accused of spreading disinformation. So essentially, it all goes back to fake news.
Okay.
And a lot of these accounts were supporters of the former right-wing president, Jair Bolsonaro. And so he said that these accounts have to be blocked while they're undergoing investigation.
Okay.
And then the justice also said that the company's legal representatives would be held liable if any of the accounts were reactivated. And also, by the way, any persons or businesses using those virtual networks, VPNs, to circumvent the system would be fined up to 12 million Korean won by comparison.
Yes.
So X then closed its office in Brazil earlier this month, saying that the representatives have been threatened with arrest because of these issues if she didn't comply with the orders. And X actually describes his orders as censorship. So that's been the differences in opinion.
Yes.
By the way, this isn't the only dispute Elon Musk and his company is facing, not just in Brazil, but he has publicly clashed with the representatives from the European Union and also the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. So this could be a larger trend that we're seeing.
Yes. And I was on X for other reasons, checking out like football scores yesterday. Elon Musk was just tweeting away like non-stop about this whole issue.
Right.
Very, very taking it personally. So I'm sure we'll hear more about this story. But thank you for covering and explaining it to our listeners. For now, though, we're going to get to our next song break. Thank you. We'll check in with you in hour number 2, Haley. All right, here is our first song. This is Two Princes. This is by the Spin Doctors.
Who adore you, just go ahead now. One has diamonds in his pockets, and that's some breath now. This one said he wants to buy you rockets, ain't in his head now. This You marry him, your father will condone you. How about that now? You marry me, your father will disown you. He'll eat his head now. Marry him or marry me. I'm the one that look at that, can't you see? I ain't got no future or family tree, but I know what a prince and lover ought to be. I know what a prince and lover ought to be. Said if you want to call me baby, just go ahead now. And if you like to tell me maybe, just go ahead now. And if you wanna buy me flowers, just go ahead now. And if you like to talk for hours, just go ahead now. That's what I said now. Princes who adore you, just go ahead now. One has diamonds in his pockets, and that's a friend now. This one who wants to buy you rockets, ain't in his head now. Marry him or marry me. I'm the one that look at that, can't you see? I ain't got no future or family tree, but I know what a prince and lover ought to be. I know what a prince and lover ought to be. Call me baby, just go ahead now. And if you like to tell me maybe, just go ahead now. And if you wonder about me flowers, just go ahead now. And if you like to talk for hours, just go ahead now. And if you want to call me baby, just go ahead now. And if you like to tell me maybe, just go ahead now. And if you like to buy me flowers, just go ahead now. And if you like to talk for hours, just go ahead now. If you want to call me baby, just go ahead now. And if you'd like to tell me maybe, just go ahead now. If you want to buy me flowers, just go ahead now. And if you'd like to talk for hours, just go ahead now. Oh, baby, just go ahead now. Just go ahead now. Oh, your majesty. Just go ahead now. Come on, forget the king and majesty. Come on, come on, come on. Just go ahead now. Yeah. Just go ahead now. If you want to buy me flowers, just go ahead now. Just go.
Welcome back, everybody. It's now 7:32 on this first Monday in September. Our topic today, our main story, we're talking about school zone safety. The most important thing is for every driver to be aware, cognizant of the safety measures. At the same time, however, the streets themselves, they have to be safe. Mayor Park Hyung-jun and city officials, they went to the scenes ahead of back to school and looked over the potential risk factors. For instance, there is apartment redevelopment construction going on around Seongdong Elementary School in Namgu. The construction makes it hard for drivers to see if there are pedestrians coming around the corners. On top of that, illegal parking continues to be an issue. The city acknowledged that because of Busan's geographical traits, many schools are on top of hills or around narrow roads, and that it will continue to try to improve these conditions. And as you well know, the history of Busan, much of the city is was left untouched after the war. So we have lots of hills and small roads. So some of that we can't change, but we can definitely change the safety culture, I think. So that's what we're talking about today. All right, here we go. Text topic. It is time to show off. And I know it's kind of Korean culture to feel uncomfortable about 자랑해 about myself. I know that. However, tell us something you're good at. What do you like about yourself? So 본격 자랑 타임입니다. 내가 잘하는 것, 내 장점 자랑하기. 아무리 작은 거라도 네, 한번 들려주세요. For example, looking at some of your responses. How about this one? 고수 waiver says that he is good. 나의 장점은 분위기 파악을 잘 하는 것 같아요. He's able to read the room. That's actually really important because there are some people who are not good at that. 분위기 파악 못하는 사람들 우리 다 한 명씩은 알 것 같아요. 그렇죠? 네, 그래서 굉장히 중요하다고 생각합니다. Very important. 항상 어디를 가서도 그곳에서 감초 같은 분위기를 만드는 거곤 해요. 대신 센스는 내년부터 지니도록 할게요. So he says he's good at kind of reading the room in terms of his kind of, in Korean they say sense, his sixth sense. He's going to work on that. Maybe that's his goal for next year. So along those lines, I'll read another one. How about Leslie, who is apparently a really good party planner. So she says, I plan an annual Thanksgiving lunch, a winter holiday party, a solstice fondue party. Oh my gosh, this sounds like so much fun. A Christmas Day brunch, a Super Bowl party, and St. Patrick's Day dinner. Oh, if you lived in Korea, we would all be at your house. Of course, assuming you would invite us, but yes, we would love to go to one of your events. Anyhow, we're going to get to our hot clip for this Monday morning. For today's hot clip, do you remember last week I told you about coworkers? You know, they went up that mountain, 15 people, and only 14 people came back down. When I heard about this story, it kind of made me sad about this worker at a major bank. She went into her office on a Friday morning and she died but wasn't found until days later. Here's a clip from NBC News.
Several questions surfacing after a Wells Fargo employee died at her desk in Tempe. Police confirming it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice. We're told 60-year-old Denise Perdome scanned into work at 7 o'clock on Friday, August 16th. 12 News spoke with an employee who asked not to be identified out of fear for their job. She tells us, though, that Perdome was found at her desk on the 3rd floor. Authorities confirming with 12 News they responded to the building on Tuesday, August 20th, 4 days after she had clocked in that Friday morning. Meantime, this employee says several people smelled a foul odor, but passed it off as faulty plumbing. Jade, you've been on the phone all day working to get some of these answers for us. So has Wells Fargo said anything since this was confirmed about Denise Perdome?
Yeah, so we initially reached out to Wells Fargo after it was confirmed that Prudome's body was found in that building. But again, I reached out today just because Tempe Police has confirmed that the body had been in there for 4 days. Wells Fargo telling us in a statement that they are obviously deeply saddened by the passing of Denise Perdome. They are offering counseling services for employees, and they actually are offering support at this time to Denise's family. They would not say anything else, just offering or telling us that our questions need to go to the Tempe Police Department. I reached out to the Tempe Police Department today asking for an interview, and they denied that request.
And a lot of people, of course, wondering about maybe a cleaning crew or security in a building of this magnitude, maybe doing nightly sweeps. So has Wells Fargo responded to any of those inquiries?
I know that's something that a lot of people want to know, right? And that was the question that I had. So I did ask the Wells Fargo spokesperson their thoughts. If there was a cleaning crew, security team, somebody that would do nightly sweeps, that spokesperson telling me, though, that they would not comment on it just because it is a pending investigation. They did say, though, that Wells Fargo is working with building operators at this time, though.
Oh, this story really made me think twice. Not just about the fact that maybe her coworkers did not realize that she had passed away, or the security guards, but what about her family and friends? Did they not know that she had been missing for up to 4 days? So that goes to me thinking, an incredibly sad way to go. This was your sad hot clip for this Monday morning.
Stay tuned.
You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for Showbiz Buzz. We have Michael in the house. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good weekend.
It was good. It was better
Better than
last week.
okay. I was gonna say better than who? Better than that poor lady. Oh,
Yeah.
4 days.
I was listening to the hot clip as well.
It was everybody was just like, "What? Are you serious?" Yeah, it's a true story.
That
Yes.
doesn't make sense. I mean, 4 days missing and nobody notices
Nobody
it.
knew.
That's tragic. That's
Right.
very, very tragic.
And text topic.
Yeah.
To change the mood, because it's so dark, and what is one thing that you can 자랑 about yourself? Aside from the fact that we know you're a musical genius. 그 음악적인 거 그런 거 말고 if
음악
you could
빼고.
say
Okay.
you're good at this, something that we would never know.
Okay.
We know you have a beautiful voice, that you're
Thank
very
you.
talented.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're so
옆에서
kind.
해주잖아요, 제가. 그러니까 그런 거 말고. 예.
음악 빼고. Okay.
음악 빼고.
This could come as a very controversial statement, but
Yes.
I believe
good at-
I'm pretty good at
Fashion?
fashion. Did you hear?
I know. We need a mic on her. She went, 참. JB님, 잘생김?
Oh, see, I mean,
다
I don't
옆에서
have to
옆에서
say
다
things. I
해주네요.
mean, people say it for me. So 감사합니다, JB님.
Anything else? Like, are you good at cooking or fashion? Fashion, that's it?
I think I'm good at good at cooking spaghetti
Spaghetti. Okay, here we go.
because I love spaghetti. And yeah, my girlfriend, for example,
Yes.
loves spaghetti.
She loves spaghetti or she loves your spaghetti?
She loves spaghetti in general.
Okay.
And that's how it began because, before I met her, I was
Yes.
like, I couldn't cook at all.
But
But
you started
after I met her,
cooking because of-
I
Aw.
had to train myself how to.
That's kind of sweet.
So it's still in progress. I mean, I have to, still work on it. But yeah, I guess that's my.
We have a follow-up from JB님. 잘생김은, there was a question mark. And then fashion은 점점점 is his comment. Not my comment.
I mean,
not mine.
yeah, this was sort of thing that I was actually expecting. I mean, yeah.
Not mine. Not
Yeah.
mine.
For me, I think the my personal color is black. Because
as
I
mine
tried
is too.
green earlier in the summer, remember? And people started calling me 잠자리채. Remember?
Not 잠자리채.
So I tried changing my
잠자리
color
catcher.
to black, and people. It seems like the waivers
Safari
and
man.
people, think black suits better on me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. 패션은 완성은 얼굴이래요.
감사합니다. 영광입니다.
Is JB님이 like 무슨 친척이에요? 계속 왜 이렇게
Why?
like friend or
I think but after we've been together for some time, right? Like we've been
Yes,
seeing each other
yes.
for a while, so
Right.
yeah, we can think of each other as friends, family, or
Okay. But he keeps on putting the 물음표, the question marks. So I,
I
don't
like
know
the
what that
honesty.
means.
I
the
mean-
jumps and the
Yeah, we have to be blunt on this,
Yes, I
because
love it, love
if it's not blunt, then I would be very embarrassed. I'd be like,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing all your good qualities with us through, some of our waivers. We're going to jump into some Showbiz Buzz. What do you have for us?
Okay, so first topic, JYP Entertainment has began cracking down on deepfake videos
Yes.
amid rising industry concerns. So deepfake videos is not just about it's not just a problem for the music industry
Yes.
as well, right? It's a social issue these days, and JYP Entertainment has also joined the cracking down scheme for deepfake videos. And you know what this is, right? Deepfake.
Yes.
It's basically using AI programs to, I guess, create, inappropriate photos.
Sexually exploitative
videos.
Videos, yes.
And JYP's stance reflects a broader issue within the industry, as I said earlier. So last month, Urim Entertainment, Ullim, filed a police complaint regarding deepfake videos featuring its artist Kwon Eun-bi. So she also fell victim to it.
Yes.
In June, Adore announced similar legal actions to protect its girl group New Jeans against deepfake videos. In February, much earlier, Brave Girls' Yoo Jung also revealed on a television program that she had fallen victim to such content. So this is not just about JYP Entertainment, but as the music industry as a whole, deepfake videos is becoming a bigger threatening issue that all of them have to face together. So, I've been checking out on some of the news articles regarding deepfake videos, and it's very, I guess, it's more dangerous because it's very easily accessible. And I'm sure you heard from the news that many of the people, the perpetrators of deepfake videos are actually still in their juvenile state. They're still young.
They're teenagers.
They're teenagers.
Young, and it's troubling to say the very least. Yes.
And so I'm sure many of them, are using it. I'm not trying to, say this on behalf of them, but many of them must be doing this kind of stuff without actually knowing what they're doing. And I think it's a big problem that there is no set of regulations or restrictions to protect them or prevent them from using or accessing this kind of programs in the first place. So.
Yes. Well, nonetheless, we all have different opinions about at what age do they realize this is wrong, right? But there are laws that say at a certain age, you're legally responsible. At this age, you're legally not. And people are very kind of angered at some of that. But anyhow.
Yes.
For now, though, we're going to move on to our next topic.
Yeah, that's a totally different issue, right? Yeah.
What is this?
Speaking of Adore, Min Hee-jin. We all know her as the former CEO of K-pop label Adore and a current producer of New Jeans, said on Friday that she cannot accept a new contract from the company requiring her to continue producing music for the popular girl group, calling the terms unilateral and unreasonable. So for me, it was surprising, first of all, that Min Hee-jin isn't the CEO anymore. First of all, that was a big issue for me because Adore's, basically the board of directors for Adore got basically transitioned into this pro-hybe structure, allowing room to basically kick Min Hee-jin out of Adore's, CEO post. So that's one thing. And now they are asking Min Hee-jin to sign a new contract, which is only, first of all, valid for 2 months.
2 months?
2 months. So it's basically a 단기 계약서.
Okay.
And that's one point that Min Hee-jin is very frustrated about.
Okay.
The second point is that there is a certain provision inside the contract that allows room for terminating the contract whenever they want. So they didn't say whenever. They didn't really stipulate that in the contract. But basically what this provision is saying, in this case where, a certain action conducted by Min Hee-jin affects the business management situation of, Adore, then the contract can be terminated at any time. So these are the 2 points that Min Hee-jin is very frustrated about and the primary reason that she declined to sign the contract. So many in the K-pop scene is expecting that she will launch an intense legal dispute to improve her position after being backed into a corner. She is reportedly considering her legal options.
I see. So this is very much a big story, which we will continue to cover. In the meantime, let's move on to our next Showbiz Buzz story.
Okay. Now to the film and television industry.
Yes.
Hyunbin and Jung Woo-sung, most.
Sorry, bringing a natural smile to my face. it was
just thinking of them makes you smile, right?
No, I was just thinking it's Monday. I was happy.
Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, so Hyunbin and Jung Ho-sung, two of our best actors in South Korea,
Yes.
right? Have been cast in a new Disney Plus series set for release next year, where they will be playing rival roles. The series is called Made in Korea.
Made in
and it's
Korea?
same in Korean as well. Made in Korea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a political drama set in the 1970s.
Oh.
And it features Hyunbin as the ambitious Baek Gi-tae. So Baek Gi-tae is, this character who pursues money, basically. And
And look, because people have been commenting on us,
Yeah.
saying, "Are we like going to go attend a funeral afterwards?" They're in black too. Have you noticed?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a theme going on.
yeah, now that you mention this, all of us are black
검정색은,
except for
예.
PD님.
PD님, 예.
PD님's all white today.
Yes, she didn't get the memo.
Yeah, she
See?
didn't get the memo.
네.
Anyways, so this Baek Gi-tae is a character pursuing for a financial success, and there is Chang Gon-young, who is a prosecutor, and he's played by Jung Ho-sung, determined to stop Baek Gi-tae at any cost. So this more specified details of the storyline, hasn't been unveiled yet, so we'll still have to wait. And we're still waiting for more characters to be introduced.
Yes.
But the title's up, Made in Korea, so let's tune into that and wait for the storyline to be developed. Yeah.
We're gonna watch.
Yeah,
That's right.
basically,
I mean,
yeah. It's
because
Hyunbin
they're-
and Jung Ho-sung.
Not because they're just good looking. They're well regarded for their acting and their top stars.
And
right?
1970s is a good era, I think.
Very
for,
interesting era right
very
now.
interesting era for
Yes.
South Korean history, and I'm sure it's going to be very interesting for Korean viewers.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. All right, let's go to our next story.
Okay, last but not least, SM Entertainment. Did you know that they are going to have their first official virtual singer?
Sure.
Yeah, the virtual singer's name is Navas. Navas, and I don't know how to say this in English because the spelling is very weird.
I don't know. I'm gonna call her Navas.
Navas, yeah.
That's what I'm gonna call her.
let's call her Navas.
Yes.
So that's going to be SM Entertainment's first virtual singer, and SM Entertainment is joining hands with LGU Plus to use LGU Plus's generative AI program for Navas's various music content. So LGU Plus's generative AI program is called IXIGen, IXI Gen.
Okay.
It's LGU Plus's latest AI program, and it's going to be used to create various music videos, short form videos, concept photos, and merchandise for the virtual singer. So Navas is set to make its debut on September 10th as SM Entertainment's first official virtual artist. The singer's voice is obviously AI generated,
Yes.
with content to be generated in both 2D and 3D, according to SM Entertainment. So what's interesting about Navas is that Navas is have been appearing in this ESPA universe.
Yes.
So we all know ESPA as one of the leading SM Entertainment girl groups, and they have this sort of universe
Yes.
of their own. They have their own storyline and everything. And Navas used to appear in this storyline as basically a supporting character that connects ESPA from the virtual world to the real world. Right. So, and now I think based on the popularity from that, Navas is going to make a debut on her own as a official virtual artist, a
What do we
standalone
even call
artist.
her? She, it?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
it's AI. It's not a real person.
And her character changes
Right.
every time. So she's not just a girl or a guy. She could be a gender-free a character. It's
Yes.
virtual.
I don't know. I have issues with this. No, I'm just saying because I feel like we're taking away from real artists. So.
Yeah, so I think this is something we can think about. Virtual artists, are they really good for the music industry?
But they are, looking at all the scandals that have happened to some artists, I can see why they probably want to go that way. But Well, anyhow, food for thought.
Yeah.
And we're going to have
Definitely.
to call it a wrap. But we'll definitely check in with you next week, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. Well, here is, speaking of Espa, Supernova. So enjoy this one, and we'll be back at 8.
서로의 존재를 느껴 마치 디스코드 날 닮은 너 누구야 Drop 사건이 다가와 에이 거세게 가져가 that tick that tick bomb 감히 건드리지 못할걸 누구도 말야 지금 내 안에선 Supernova Nova Can't stop hyper stellar 원초 그걸 찾아 Bring the light of a dying star 불러내 내 우주를 봐봐 Supernova body bang Make it feel too right 휩쓸린 energy so special 잔인한 queen이며 scene 이제 종결 기다렸거든 한내 안에 explosion 내 모든 super 컬러부터 만든 control 지금도 계속돼 oh 우린 어디서 왔나 oh 느껴 내 안에서 Supernova Nova Can't stop hyper stellar 원초 그걸 찾아 Bring the light of a dying star 불러내 내 우주를 봐봐 Supernova 보이지 않는 힘으로 내게 손 내밀어볼까 가능한 모든 가능성 무한 속에 너를 만나서 봐줘 bang bang don't forget my name Supernova 사건은 다가와 거세게 커져가 질문은 계속돼 우린 어디서
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로 하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 bfm 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
부산 글로벌 도시재단 대표이사 전용호입니다. 부산은 물류, 금융, 영상, 관광, 첨단 산업 등 핵심 분야에서 또 한 번의 도약을 준비하고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산의 비전은 부산을 넘어 대한민국의 균형 발전을 촉진할 새로운 계기가 될 것입니다. 부산 글로벌 도시재단은 세계 시민을 연결하는 네트워크로 도시 외교의 중추적 역할을 담당하고 글로벌 부산의 미디어 플랫폼인 부산 영어방송을 통해 영어하기 편한 도시 부산을 만들고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산, 그 중심에 부산 글로벌 도시재단이 있습니다.
Busan Global City Foundation leads the Global Hub City Busan.
안녕하세요, 강남입니다. 오늘은 멋진 우리 이웃들 한번 만나볼까요? 부지런한 K 사장님 로빈 씨, 오늘 많이 바쁘세요?
한국인은 밥심인데 밥 먹을 시간도 없어요.
할 땐 하는 프로 직장인 로렌 씨, 일하면서 제일 기쁜 순간은?
퇴근할 때?
윙크장인 트로트 가수 레오 씨, 어쩌다 트로트를 하게 됐어요?
한국의 흥에 반했죠.
여러분도 이런 멋진 이웃들과 함께 살고 계시죠? 다 함께 내일을 만들어가는 다문화 이주 배경 이웃들. 우리는 모두 우리입니다. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock and this is News Highlights. PPP and DP leaders hold first official talks. The leaders of the ruling People Power Party, PPP, and the main opposition Democratic Party, DP, Han Dong-hoon and Lee Jae-myung agreed yesterday to form a joint consultative body to discuss matters concerning people's livelihoods where both parties share common ground. The two leaders agreed to take the necessary measures to normalize the medical system. And while the leaders did not come to an agreement on the specifics, they saw eye to eye on the principle that public safety and lives take priority above all. This is the first official meeting of the two major party leaders under an official agenda in 11 years. Yoon won't attend National Assembly opening ceremony. President Yoon Suk-yeol will not attend the opening ceremony of the regular session of the National Assembly today, a presidential official said yesterday, citing the opposition party's unilateral handling of controversial bills. The Yongsan office said that it is customary to normalize the National Assembly first before inviting the president, adding that the assembly may be inviting him to stage a protest and humiliate the president. The PPP has also requested that Yoon not attend the ceremony. The opening ceremony for the 22nd Assembly, originally set for July 5th, was boycotted by the ruling party. It had been put off indefinitely until the rival parties agreed to hold the event in conjunction with the start of the 22nd Assembly's first regular session. South Korea to bolster cybersecurity measures against hacking and disinformation. South Korea will conduct offensive cyber defense operations to protect criminal national infrastructure from hacking attacks and counter disinformation, the presidential office said yesterday. The National Security Council, or NSC, unveiled the National Cybersecurity Basic Plan, jointly drawn up with 14 government agencies, aimed at securing deterrence against cyber activities and threat actors that undermine national security. South Korea will also work together with countries sharing liberal democratic values to cooperate and coordinate cybersecurity responses. South Korea logs longest streak of tropical nights. South Korea recorded its longest streak of tropical nights this year as a prolonged heat wave continued to grip the country throughout August. The number of tropical nights reached 20.2 days this year, outnumbering 16.8 days in 1994 and 16.7 days in 2018. Since the Korea Meteorological Administration, or KMA, began compiling the data in 1973. It added that the number of tropical nights in August reached 11.3 days, and the first double-digit record for August. Israel recovers bodies of 6 Gaza hostages. Israel says its forces have recovered the bodies of 6 hostages held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip in an underground tunnel in Rafah. A spokesman for the Israel Defense Forces said that the hostages were brutally murdered by Hamas shortly before they arrived. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would not rest until those responsible for their killing are brought to justice. Thousands of people have taken to the street across Israel, demanding the government reach a ceasefire deal to secure the release of the remaining hostages. And this was News Highlights. It is time for wa글wa글. It's that time, so we have Haley back in the studio.
Hello.
Well, first we have been seeing reports of multiple sinkholes across the country, and some of the photos, oh my goodness.
Right.
Yes.
So going back to Thursday morning where the first major one was reported, this was a large sinkhole, or some people call it a sunken ground phenomenon. That's because technically sinkholes have to happen naturally, but we're kind of seeing that's not really the case. Anyways, that happened in Seoul's Yeonhee-dong, where it was large enough for a vehicle to physically fall in, and 2 people were hurt. They've been taken to the hospital. And then a day later, so that would be on Friday, additional sinkhole or ground sinking episode happened just about 30 meters away from that initial site.
Right.
Thankfully, no one was hurt. And then the authorities, because they have been using these underground radar detectors to closely inspect the general site, they found another location where there is an underground hole. So the the outer asphalt layer is still intact, but there's basically a void growing inside. So Seoul City, upon this, is going to inspect the entirety of the area using these ground-penetrating radar. And then going to another neighborhood in Seoul, it's Jongro-oga, a sinkhole 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters and about 1.5 meters deep was discovered there. The road was blocked off for repairs, and it has been repaired. And then lastly, in Daegu, a 50 centimeter by 30 centimeter sinkhole, 1.7 meters deep was found. So these are entirely depths of like an average adult. So definitely scary. So the authorities say this is likely due to problems in the buried water pipes underground because they're aged and they can leak or burst, and the water leaking out, and that can weaken and lower the soil levels.
Yes.
And then when the soil levels are lowered, so the asphalt or the concrete road above has nothing to support it, then with the constant weight and the pressure of cars and people passing by, the ground can just collapse down, as we have seen.
Yes.
But, of course, this can happen really everywhere and anywhere. So people are expressing fears of, well, shouldn't something be done about this? Right.
Indeed. And so, of course, many people expressing, once again, their fears, even in our chat room, about how scary this can be. Yes. All right. So moving on, not many of us get enough sleep, but apparently we may be able to cram sleep into the weekend. But I don't know. Is that still okay?
Well, we have heard, like, as we said, that was, what was it? The alcohol study with our expert. Because he was saying, we get so sick of all these contradicting research about this is okay, this is not. Because I've definitely read studies where cramming sleep is not good for you.
Right.
So I've been trying to kind of wake up around the same time. But best news ever, for me at least, unlike exams, you can cram sleep.
Yay.
At least for your heart health. Anything else, maybe not. But people who catch up and said miss sleep over the weekend, they may be at 20% lower risk of heart disease compared to those who don't catch up on sleep. And that's according to a study by the European Society of Cardiology. So they took data from over 90,000 adults in the UK. So the UK has this biobank, which kind of compiles data of medical and lifestyle records. So of these, around 20,000 adults met the criteria for being sleep deprived, which is sad. But in a follow-up period of 14 years, the researchers found that people who had the most extra sleep during the weekends, they were 19% less likely to develop heart disease compared to the people who had the least amount of sleep on the weekends. So once again, to be clear, consistent, regular sleep Monday through Sunday is key.
Yes.
But, and of course, cramming sleep on the weekend cannot replace that. However, it can at least help reduce the risk of heart disease. So it's better than nothing. And by the way, I read this study on Friday. I slept for 12 hours between Friday and Saturday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you feel okay? You felt
felt
better?
great.
That's good, definitely. I slept away this weekend too, so sleep away. All right,
It's good for our heart health.
Yes, so we tell ourselves. All right, let's move on and talk about the band Oasis. Yes, we love Oasis, making a splash last week, but this is when it announced a long-awaited reunion, and apparently fans are scrambling to get tickets.
Right, so last Tuesday, brothers Noel and Liam Gallagher said that they have put their feud behind them after 15 years. I mean, that is like one of the longest lasting family feuds. They disbanded once again 15 years ago. Apparently, there was a backstage brawl at a festival in Paris, and they have not spoken to each other since, at least not publicly. But of course, now that they have been reunited, the fans are excited. And 3 of their old albums have been climbing back up the chart. So these 3 make up for the top 5, 3 of the top 5 in the UK charts. And the tickets have gone on sale, and it has been wild. So 3 major sites that sell tickets have had issues even before the tickets went on sale because people were logging on constantly. And some people reported seeing millions of people ahead of them in the virtual queue. So on Friday, local time, tickets went on sale for a 3-hour pre-sale for a limited number of fans. Well, now those tickets have been listed on resale websites for more than £6,000. That's about 1,000,000 won. That's 10 million won, and that's 40 times the face value. Yeah,
that is I know they're popular. But
I know, but wow, because I think it's also the scarcity effect, and then what are they going to keep? Exactly, are they going to keep their relations civil, or is there going to be another backstage brawl? You don't know. This could be a very limited run, so you got to jump on it.
Yes.
But Oasis, for its part, urged people to not resell the tickets and also not buy them, and that those tickets that are sold on these unauthorized resale venues will not be allowed. They'll be canceled. So please keep that in mind if you're thinking about this.
Yes, but oh my goodness, 10,000.
Yeah.
1,000,000 won for ticket. Okay. Next, there is seemingly a Guinness World Record for everything nowadays. I mean, have you seen some of the categories, people?
I'm should I try?
I know, because we can just make up the categories. I don't know, including having the most world records.
That's a thing. And a Mr. David Rush of Idaho in the U.S., he has a title for having the most world records. So he holds the record for having the most world records. And this kind of became his job because he set off in 2021 to make a career out of this. Record breaking is a career.
Wow.
Goal breaking 1 record per week. And actually, even before there he is.
Okay.
He already held at that point 180 record titles. So he's an author, speaker, entertainer, STEM advocate. So that's kind of the IQA, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yes.
He chose this challenge to inspire kids to pursue STEM education and showing them anything is possible.
Wow. Well, let's hear more about him. What kind of records?
By anything, we do mean anything.
Okay,
what
here
about
we go.
this? Fastest time to wrap a person with wrapping paper. He enlisted his neighbor's help for that. 1 minute and 43 seconds to wrap a person. Fastest 100-meter with jogging plus juggling. 3 objects whilst blindfolded.
Because I was saying, what is joggling? Is jogging and juggling together?
It is.
Joggling.
And then also fastest 100 meters blindfolded, and he did this in 14 seconds. And I'm like, can I
Blindfolded.
run 100 meters in 14 seconds with both my eyeballs
open.
wide open? I don't know. Also, consecutive axe juggling catches.
Okay.
So at 2,900. He caught 2,900 axes. And I'm like, were these like rubber? Toki? Like, were these rubber axes? I don't know. So he's like a major juggler. Most passes of a beach ball in 1 minute. Most marshmallows caught by mouth in 1 minute. Most
How many?
Oh, sorry. 58 in 1 minute.
58 marshmallows?
Yeah.
By mouth?
By mouth.
In
Like you
1
toss
minute.
it in the
So
air.
that's like 1 per second.
Exactly. And then most apples thrown and caught in mouth in 1 minute. That one, because the apples are bigger, 49 of them. And then the list goes on and on. I've had to stop copying and pasting. But yeah.
If he's out of a job, he can go to a circus.
He
because
can.
his
He can be a
juggling
one-man
skills-
circus.
I mean,
and he could
he's
have a
just
world
one-man
record for
show.
having like the longest circus show. Something.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, people.
I mean, his name is David Rush. You know, sometimes they say the name.
And you're like, you were born for this. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. And now it's time to turn to Paris for our 2024 Paralympics coverage.
Very exciting weekend. So sharpshooting was the star this weekend for Team Korea, winning the country's first gold, silver, and bronze medals in this event. So Yoon Lee won the country's first medal, a silver in R2 women's 10-meter air pistol. And in men's, Jo Jung-do won the first gold for Team Korea in men's P1 10-meter air rifle. He was actually diagnosed with meningitis during his military service, and that really it took a hit on him naturally. He lived in an isolated life for 8 years, and he was just playing like shooting games during this time. But when he actually went out and tried sharpshooting, that obviously changed his life.
I see.
And he's actually expecting his first child very soon, like within the month. So definitely a great month for him.
Yes.
And Park Jin-ho won the second gold in men's R1 10-meter air pistol. And another former special forces soldier, Seo Eun-tae, won the bronze in R4 mixed 10-meter air pistol. And then moving on to other events in table tennis, men's pair, Jang Young-jin and Park Sung-ju won silver.
Sure.
Women's pair, actually 2 pairs, Jung Young-ah, Moon Sung-hae, and Kang Wei-jung, Lee Mi-gyu, both won the bronze. There's no bronze off in table tennis.
Yes.
And then in taekwondo, Chu Jung-hoon won the bronze, his second bronze after Tokyo. He won this despite a hip injury he sustained in the round of 8. And he lost his hand in an accident when he was 2 years old at his grandmother's house. And his grandmother felt kind of guilty about this all her life, and she died after suffering from Alzheimer's. And he said he had a very close relationship with her. And his first plan coming back to Korea will be visiting his grandmother's grave with his medal.
Inspiring stories all around. Thanks for covering, of course, the Paralympics and plus all the wa글와글 stories. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. Well, we will be back with more, but in time right now, what am I saying? Traffic and weather. It is now 8:16. Here's your traffic update. It is looking slow on Gwanmun-daero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel right now. Also, congestion detected on Gaya-daero from Gaegeum intersection to Jure intersection. Also backed up on Chungjang-daero from pier number 4 to pier number 3. As for the weather, it's 26 already under clear skies. The daytime high is expected to go up to 32 degrees Celsius. Chances of sporadic rain in the evening. So if you're going to be out all day long into the evening hours, you might need a little umbrella. Across the nation, overall cloudy day with chance of rain across the country with gusts of wind and even thunder and lightning in the central and western regions. This was your traffic and weather. And this is September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Do you remember when it first started? September, love was changing the minds, tender, while chasing the clouds away. Arms
welcome back, everybody. I think people were enjoying that song, September, because I can't believe September is actually here. And when people think of September, apparently a lot of you want to go on a 소풍, on a picnic. So yes, as the weather is cooling down a little bit, I think it's a perfect time to head outdoors. For our text topic, though, we have been talking about showing off something about yourselves. What are you good at? What do you like about yourselves? And looking at some of your comments, Lee Kelly, who says, volunteering at a local orphanage for more than 15 years now. That is something you have earned the bragging rights to. 15 years. That is consistency. And then he adds, photography, I guess, seeing as people actually pay me to do it for them, meaning I guess he does that as his career. So definitely, but the volunteering at an orphanage is something that is very commendable. Also, we have Che Hisung-nim, who says this, that she says she doesn't, I'm not a show-off, but I might be good at cooking. I have a feeling you're probably fantastic at cooking. People that are that humble and say it like kind of shyly like that tend to be really super fantastic at whatever it is that they're talking about. So, and then we have... let's see. 태진 waiver who says, 생각났다. 저의 장점은 냄새를 잘 맡고 그리고 음식 상하지는 않았는데 살짝 맛이 갈랑말랑한 걸 잘 찾아요. 우리 집 아이들의 구세주입니다. 아내는 상한 음식 잘 구별 못하거든요. Oh no, I hope she's not listening. So he says he has a talent for kind of sensing or smelling or tasting food that is about to go bad, that is not really bad at the moment, that hasn't gone bad, but is about to go bad. And so for his kids' sake that he is good at that, his wife is not very good at distinguishing, he says. And he says it, of course, jokingly. Right? Souvenir says, 좀 독특한 자랑을 하면 놀이기구를 잘 탑니다. So Souvenir says he's good at going on amusement park rides. Oh, that is a talent. Some people are not good at that. They cannot go on what they call the Viking. 바이킹도 못하는 분들 많아요. And then we have Jin Lee waiver. 첫 번째 생각나는 거는 인내심. And then 한 가지 더, 꾸준함. So patience and perseverance. Those are really important traits. So definitely worthy of being bragged out about. So thank you for your comments, and I'll be back with our special interview for now. The recent news of Telegram founder Pavel Durov's arrest in France swept world news outlets, with updates continuing to come out. So Durov is facing a litany of criminal offenses, with a highlight on enabling illicit transactions and complicity in the distribution of child sexual abuse material. South Korea is also having to face the issue of deepfake sex crimes being distributed through Telegram, with the government taking emergency measures. So the arrest of a suspect accused of creating and distributing 279 deepfake porn videos has brought shock and horror to the community. So what can be and is being done to prevent further damage? Big questions. So we have invited back to the airways Professor Song Se-ryun, who is a professor of law at Kyung Hee University, and he's on air with us once again. Hi, Professor. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
We're doing great, but unfortunately, we have to talk about, this story. And for those who might be unfamiliar with what has happened up to now, can you tell us what Telegram is and how encryption comes into play with this platform?
Well, Telegram is a cloud-based instant messaging app. And we use a lot of messaging apps. KakaoTalk, probably the most widely used in Korea. But Telegram has particular features that some people, especially young people, like, which is, first, their encryption technology is pretty strong. Of course, these days, many apps offer encryption, but Telegram was one of the first ones to do it. And the privacy measure is pretty strong. And if you elect to use the encryption between the sender and receiver without going through the server, you have a pretty strong privacy measures with encryption where it is very hard to be intercepted.
Yes.
So because of that feature, those people who like their privacy, and sometimes, in fact, many criminals use it because they don't really, it doesn't leave a very elaborate digital footprint. So that's one feature. And also they offer a lot of channels with the strong privacy features again, and the use of bots. Bots are the applications that can carry out many different functions. And in fact, in the Telegram, they can make and use the bots that is connected to the deepfake functions. So even all those things together, those illicit activities with a lot of people without much fears of being intercepted or being hauled into a law enforcement agencies. So those are the features that make a Telegram kind of a flourishing ground where those kind of activities, including deepfakes, are happening.
Yes. Well, thanks for explaining why it's being widely used. So what specific challenges has South Korea faced in securing international cooperation to combat things like deep fake sex crimes, particularly, not always, but with platforms like Telegram?
This is not the unique problem, but whenever you have a global functions, whether it be a technology or finance or all those, and if you have to enforce it as a country by country, you have a big mismatch between the Korea only enforce Korea that can only enforce the laws within its boundaries. We mostly Korean governments can enforce and regulate those things happen in Korea. Of course, Koreans traveling outside, they carry their own jurisdiction, but mostly they can enforce the laws and actions that happens in Korea. Telegram, their servers are not in Korea. It's distributed all over the world, and the foreigners run it. And those kind of global distribution, and also lack of the global regime to regulate these issues, make it very difficult for any country, just not just Korea, but any countries to act alone and be effective in repelling or regulating this kind of activities. For example, the Telegram, even the head office were in the past has seen willing to move if there's a pressure from the law enforcement agencies. So those kind of features make it very difficult for any one country to do it. So that's why I think there has to be a more global legal framework and the mode of cooperation to counter this kind of ill effect.
Yes, yes. And so in terms of this so-called proposed hotline with Telegram, do you think that it will be effective in preventing the distribution of deepfake materials? Or do you think that this is something that's been put out there but will not really help in the enforcement of such laws, whether it be in Korea or in other countries?
Again, I think it's going to be very hard to arm twist the Telegram to force them to do anything because of the problems that we talked about. It's very hard to hold them into Korean courts if their server is not in place. Of course, they can block their businesses in Korea, but that might not be very easy either, because you cannot really issue a warrant to anywhere at this point. So I think that that kind of goes back to where you have to pass laws to make it possible. I think a lot of countries are doing that with the challenges from them. But at the same time, it has to make it a norm as to how the global governance will look like. We don't have a global or world legislature, so we're not going to pass any laws that applies to everywhere.
Yes.
But if many countries enact a similar laws, and if that become kind of a standard, then that in effect will give signals to other countries to follow suit, and soon it can become how it is regulated. I mean, data privacy, when Europe took the lead, Korea enacted similar laws, and the U.S. as well. So those are some of the things that can happen in the future. But at this point, those kind of talks are not really happening in a actively or in detail.
Well, what about here in Korea, legislative-wise? Are changes being considered to address the current limitations in punishing creators of deepfake content? And, this is such a hot topic right now. What's going on legislatively? What's the Assembly doing?
Yeah, what they can do is they can regulate activities that happen in Korea. So,
Yes.
for example, if the deepfake videos are made in Korea by Koreans, probably they can go after them very swiftly if they can, get them arrested. So one of the things they are doing is that for now the legislative limit for punishing them is 5 years. They're trying to lengthen it to 7 years, and a lot of perpetrators and the victims are teenagers. Underaged persons. So so far those kids who are from 10 years to 14 years, they don't really go to jail because for good reasons. But in this kind of crime, because of those are happening in those age groups a lot. I think that there is a legislative move. I think that the PP leader Han Dong-un has lobbied this idea that you might want to lower the threshold age to make it a kind of a adult crime. So those are things that we can do in Korea. Again, if you listen to the discussion, the telegram does not really come into the picture because it's a hard to them. So that's why the hotline idea is one of the ideas to reach out to them, at least get the dialogue going. And because those kind of things are happening in other countries as well, the duo of brothers in France, probably in jail, they might be saying that it's not just France issues. Everywhere we go, including Korea, run into this kind of problems. So I think even without talking with the authorities in France, there is kind of a shared understanding of the countries have to kind of act to get in conjunction with the intent of regulating them more severely.
Well, Professor, I do want to address the whole criminal minor issue because a lot of the content, many of the perpetrators, the victims also obviously underage, but many of the perpetrators seemingly are also young in that very in-between age, 10 and 14, who may not be criminally, they may not be sent to jail. However, many people are very angry saying, a 13 or 14-year-old may have the understanding that, what they're doing is wrong, or should have the understanding that what they're doing is wrong, and the content that they're creating could be out there forever for the victims. So what would you say to the people that are quite angry and kind of also scared for not just their daughters, just their kids in general, about people who might be involved in this?
Right. I'm a parent myself, and I'm very concerned about this. What troubles me is that this deepfake videos, sometimes made in jest, sometimes made with some specific purpose, has become one of the kind of a play culture for these age groups.
Yes.
And they may regret it in the future in a major way, but as you said, the right to forget is very hard to enforce in this area because of technology. Once it's made, it may exist somewhere in some forms and to resurface again.
Yes.
So I think that this has to be, yes, tough on crimes like the deepfake making this, and yes, work with the messengers, with the platforms to self-regulate or, promote them to regulate. But at the same time, we have to work with the for example, Ministry of Education to do a campaign for these age groups that this is indeed a very wrong thing to do. And there will be consequences not only at school, but in the courtroom. And they'll be throwing their life away if they don't really get their act together and realize that this is a serious matter.
Indeed. Well, to wrap up our discussion today, what role will the newly proposed interagency task force play in addressing things like the deepfake sex crimes? What are its initial priorities? What can you tell us?
Yeah, as we were talking about, the tough on crime, there has to be some kind of, task force team or responsible for taking actions, but at the same time, control tower. So it sends a signal that the government is taking this as a very serious matter, and they'll implement some of the things that we talked about. For example, look into how the legislative initiatives should take place, and probably they'll beef up the investigative prowess so that they'll put in more people into this area. In fact, that they're enlarging their investigative team. And I think that this will, with a control tower, the police and the Office of Government Policy Coordination that will be taking the lead, and also the prosecutor's office, those will probably have some work arrangements so that this kind of prosecution will, investigation and prosecution will take place more swiftly with more effective way. So I think that if anything, as a signal, I think it's a good idea to have that, put it out there, and it gives more people and fund it in a larger way so that they will have some sort of legislative and also executive of solving this problem.
Indeed. Well, can't be solved in one night, but definitely thank you for your expertise and opinions on this hot matter. Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This was Professor Song Se-ryun, and we talked about Telegram, the deepfake issue. It is not going to be easy to resolve. There is not one agency that's going to solve the issue. It's going to take joint efforts from everybody, including educators, parents, and the legislative body indeed. This was your special interview. We have a song request by Leslie, 응급실 by EG.
후회하고 있어요. 다투던 그날 괜한 자존심 때문에 끝내자고 말을 해버린 거야. 금방 볼 줄 알았어. 날 잡길 바랬어. 며칠이 지나도 아무 소식조차 없어. 항상 내게 너무 잘해줘서 않나봐 이제 날아 내 고집 때문에 힘들었던 멋대로 한 거 용서할 수 없니 이 바보야 진짜 아니야 아직도 나를 그렇게 몰라 너를 가진 사람 나밖에 없니 제발 떠나가지 마 너 하나만 사랑하는데 이대로 나를 두고 가지 마 나를 버리지 마 그냥 날 안아줘 다시
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is now time for Business Perspectives. Bobby's here. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine. How are you?
I'm doing great. I hope you had a good weekend.
Very nice weekend. Nice weather.
I know it's like cooling down slightly.
Slightly. The humidity factor again, another notch down, which is bearable.
It's bearable, but I have to say, finally turned off the AC like a little bit.
Okay.
It wasn't on 24 hours.
Okay, but I'll tell you this.
Still on.
I know, but like I don't want to get the next electric bill.
Oh yeah. I am. Yeah, I know you're avoiding the walk to look at the bill. Yes, I am too. All right. So, what do you have for us today?
All right. So, to get into this week's topic, Catherine, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
But I'll give my response to this, but I want you to think about it.
Yes.
Assuming that you have.
Okay, assuming that I have.
What was the very first fake good you ever bought or received?
Fake good?
Okay, yes. Something fake, okay? So so my story is I remember in 8th grade.
Okay.
One of my friends named Mike, he came to school wearing a fake
roll thing.
roll ding ding.
I stopped you.
Roll ding ding watch. Okay.
In 8th grade, he was
8th grade. 8th grade, right?
So he was wearing a fake roll thing. What?
Yeah. So
okay.
We were like, "Yo, that's so cool!" And then he was like, he bought it for like $25.
That's a lot.
That was back then. It was like a lot, right?
That's a lot, yeah.
And but I remember it was so bright,
like
that
gold
sheen, and I just remember, vividly because the face of it.
Yeah.
The glass. It has that little comes out right above the date, right? And it magnifies the date. Yeah, Datejust. Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, holy, that's so cool.
The Datejust.
And then I remember I asked him if I could wear it for a little bit. And I put it on. He let me wear it, but it was so heavy because I remember I was wearing a Swatch watch then. But like, Swatch ding.
I was like,
But holy cow, I was like, wow. And I remember during class, I kept on looking at this thing. So that's my story of my first fake good experience.
So
Made an
amazing,
impact on
the
me.
story. Because that's isn't that like every Korean person's like, at least back in the day, especially if you're Kyopo, like everybody wants a fake, not a real thing, right?
Yeah.
That's like the symbol of you've made it in America.
Yes.
Right, yes.
Big time.
Interesting.
Yeah. So-
Is that what we're talking about today?
Yes, we're talking about the black market.
Counterfeit goods.
Counterfeit goods.
Ooh.
So, a little background on this.
Yes.
So when you think about counterfeit goods,
right?
Origins trace all the way back to ancient times when there were coins that were counterfeited, right, to deceive traders.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like it reminds me of the movie Catch Me If You Can, if you remember that, right? Like these techniques. Now when you watch it, like, oh, that seems so simple. But if you think about it, that they needed a lot of technical expertise to make fake coins, I'm sure, right? And the know-how and the craftiness, right? So give them kudos for that, right? Now, in terms of the modern counterfeit goods market, it really began to take shape in the 20th century, right? Really with the economic boom post-World War II. People had more money, more access, right? Then the next kind of iteration with global trade that really expanded, so there were more opportunities for counterfeiters to exploit brands and trademarks. And now more recently, with the technology boom, with the rise of the internet and overall globalization,
yes,
further accelerated the growth of this underground market, making it a lot more convenient and easier for counterfeit goods to be produced and distributed globally. So just the whole overall proliferation.
Okay.
Now, in terms of just dollars and market size, the counterfeit goods market has really grown exponentially, like a hockey stick.
Okay, here we go.
So,
back in the day,
in the 80s, it was estimated to be about a $30 billion market.
That's still big.
That's huge,
right?
But in 2022,
I'm scared to ask how big.
Grown to over $3 trillion.
Three trillion?
So in 40 years or so, it's 100 times much larger.
And I just remembered my first encounter with a counterfeit good.
What was it?
Okay, do you guys remember? This is going to date me, but it's okay. Back in the day when I was young, the most popular doll for girls was cabbage
ding
dolls.
Yes.
And I was on the waiting list to adopt my cabbage ding doll.
Oh.
And then my dad came back from a business trip and he had one. And I didn't know it was fake until I said, where are the adoption papers?
That's right, in the box.
그 입양 그 서류 어디 있어, 아빠? And he's like, he turned red. He's like, what is that? And I said, the adoption papers. And then I knew it was not real. And then I gave it back to him and I said, I don't want it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was a brat. I was like, I don't want it. I said, I want the real one.
Wow.
So he felt really bad.
But there was, my sister.
There was no adoption papers.
There was always a waiting list or waiting line.
There was a waiting list at Toys R Thing. Yes. I waited for 6 months. You know, we're of that generation,
yes.
right? So I gave it back to him.
But the fact that your dad got hands on
from Korea.
Ooh.
Without the 입양 소리.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want it.
Wow.
Now we know.
That's a good story right there.
Yeah. All right, so.
Now, the growth of the market has been driven by several factors. There's been an increase in demand for luxury goods, all right, the rise of technology and e-commerce,
right,
and also overall sophistication of the counterfeit production techniques. People are getting better, they're getting smarter, right, overall, right? And think about all the goods or industries that are impacted by counterfeiting, like clothing is real simple, high fashion,
yes,
footwear, electronics, luxury goods like handbags, DVDs,
everything,
jewelry.
I mean,
right?
everything.
Yes. So now you could see why the big number.
Yes, indeed.
So in terms of overall like industries and brands that have impacted, now there are several industries that are heavily affected by the counterfeit goods market, right? And also research has shown that upwards of 50% of brands are losing sales to counterfeit goods. We're not saying that 50% of their sales are being
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, 50% of brands. So it's just showing you the impact and how wide the counterfeiting takes place, right?
Right.
Now, in terms of fashion and luxury goods sector, they're pretty much the largest impacted one. So brands such as Louis Vuitton, Gucci, or Nike.
Yes.
Now, especially for luxury brands, yes, their sales get lost, right? They
Right.
lose out on revenue opportunities. But more for them, especially for the luxury goods market, it's the dilution of the company's brand image.
That's true.
Right? That sense of exclusivity kind of gets diluted
Yes.
when you see more and more people wearing or toting a certain luxury good.
And when everybody's carrying it, right?
Yes.
You're like, oh.
And people don't talk about this enough, but like just the overall intellectual property, right?
It's
like,
true.
You know, how much effort that they've took to get to that point.
Right.
But now that gets lost too.
But I remember when I came to Korea, I had a pair of, I won't say what brand, of high brand shoes. And I got them on sale at 70% off at an outlet in America. So I didn't pay like full value.
Yes.
But they were real, authentic. It was at their store outlet. And then I came to Korea and then I saw the exact same copy and I tried them on because I was just curious.
Yes.
And they were more comfortable. And then I was really annoyed. And then I stopped wearing my originals because I was like, everybody's going to think they're fake, but they're not.
Oh,
you know, that
yeah,
kind of,
yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
dilution of the brand, though. It's true.
So consumers also, that's the flip
Yeah,
side, right?
the flip side of
yeah,
it.
Yeah, So
You're
people
like-
that buy the real thing, they get like, hey, I'm getting gypped out here.
Exactly.
So-
Even though I got them 70%.
The real, yes.
But still, it's like, yeah, so I feel you. Yeah.
Now, another industry that caught my attention, counterfeit goods, the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, pharmacy.
Yes,
Drugs?
counterfeit drugs.
I mean, like medicine drugs. Yes.
So not only losing sales, but really from a consumer perspective, think about the health risks. Like, because they don't go through the overall FDA approval or whatnot.
Right.
So those are some things that caught my attention in terms of the industries being impacted.
Can we do a part 2?
Sure.
No, because this is like so fascinating, and like I don't want to rush you. Is that okay, PD? Because like we have mounds of good information that you've researched for us, and I feel like you know what, we need to do a part 2 on this. But going back to even your stories of like your S watch and like my cabbage thing doll.
Yes.
This is like I'm sure for everybody out there, all our waivers, they have a story too of where they experienced something.
I mean, $3 trillion? Yeah.
Whether it was on purpose or inadvertently. Like my dad bought it for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's another big one. So from a consumer perspective,
Yes.
like, are you really getting the real thing? Right?
And you have to make sure.
How do you make sure about that one too?
Right.
So we will, if you don't mind, we will definitely continue on this conversation.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, we will check in with you next week. So have a wonderful week. But thank you for bringing this to our attention because we have much to talk about next week as well, right?
Yep. Have a great week, everyone.
All right. Well, for you, the listeners, this first Monday, back at it. For those of you who are in the education sphere or maybe have children or nieces and nephews, yes, it's kind of like back to the grind and we feel it. It's a Monday. However, the fact that you guys tuned in and you guys chimed in, thank you for that. And our show always, we can't do it without our producer, Cho Yun-jin. We have our writers, Haley Seo, Annie Moon. I'm your host, Catherine. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. So for our final song, here it is. How about this one? 부럽지가 않아 by 장기화. So have a wonderful Monday. And yes, please join us again tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
야, 너네 자랑하고 싶은 거 있으면 얼마든지 해. 난 괜찮아. 왜냐면 난 부럽지가 않아. 한 개도 부럽지가 않아. 너네 자랑하고 싶은 거 있으면 얼마든지 해. 난 괜찮아. 왜냐면 난 부럽지가 않아. 전혀 부럽지가 않아. 네가 가진 게 많겠니? 내가 가진 게 많겠니? 난 잘 모르겠지만 한번 우리가 이렇게 한번 머리를 맞대고 생각을 해보자고. 너한테 10만 원이 있고 나한테 100만 원이 있어. 그럼 상당히 너는 내가 부럽겠지. 짜증나겠지. 근데 입장을 한번 바꿔서 우리가 생각을 해보자고. 나는 과연 네 덕분에 행복할까? 내가 더 많이 가져서 만족할까? 아니지, 세상에는 1000만 원을 가진 놈도 있지. 난 그 놈을 부러워하는 거야. 짜증나는 거야. 누가 더 짜증날까? 널까? 날까? 몰라 나는. 근데 세상에는 말이야, 부러움이라는 거를 모르는 놈도 있거든. 그게 누구냐면 바로 나야. 너네 자랑하고 싶은 거 있으면 얼마든지 해. 난 괜찮아. 왜냐면 난 부럽지가 않아. 한 개도 부럽지가 않아. 너네 자랑하고 싶은 거 있으면 얼마든지 해. 난 괜찮아. 왜냐면 난 부럽지가 않아. 전혀 부럽지가 않아. 전혀 전혀 그게 다 부러워서 그러는 거지 뭐. 아니 괜히 그러는 게 아니라 그게 다 부러워서 그러는 거야. 부러우니까 자랑을 하고 자랑을 하니까 부러워지고 부러우니까 자랑을